And does Colts Nation get in here? Colts Nation. Got some people coming in now. Okay, here we go. Hey, y'all. Hey, listen, if you're just tuning in to the news, it has officially happened. The Indianapolis Colts have officially traded Carson Wentz to the Washington Commanders. Big news coming out. We all were waiting for potentially this moment, and the Colts have finally made their move. Thank you to the 70 people who are in here right now. Thank you all so much. The Indianapolis Colts have officially traded Carson Wentz to the Washington Commanders. This is coming from multiple sources now, but at the same time, it was broken by Schefter. Schefter, I got to find Schefter's tweet specifically, but what's happening here is there is a deal still in place. We're not 100% sure of all the details of what is going down in the trade, but there was a package that is believed to have included 2 third-round picks in it. That's at minimum. That's from what we're hearing. And what up, UCF Jaguar? What's up, my dude? Yeah, so right now, big news. I'm going to have to look up Schefter here because I want to ensure that I'm getting this right. So, yeah, Washington is taking quarterback Carson Wentz and his full contract. Colts are trading for a package of packs that is for a package of picks that is thought to include 2 third-rounders. That's at least at minimum what we see right now. And so Washington is paying the full $28 million that Carson Wentz is supposed to be owed this year, which includes his $5 million roster bonus. So Ballard, who potentially probably went down on the trade value to ensure that Washington would take that $5 million in roster bonuses and the cut, said, here, we'll give you all of his contract. We'll just lowball on the draft picks a little bit. But hey, listen, I'm not going to complain too much about 2 third-round picks because we have seen Chris Ballard and this staff do a great job with third-round picks in the draft previously. We've seen some good ones. And who knows, maybe this is a strategy to, maybe get a second rounder to be brought in. Maybe this is another strategy for the Colts, basically to, ensure that they can trade up. That is an option for them. That is something we can do. So now the ultimate question here is what do the Colts do at quarterback? And, obviously the biggest names in the free agent market, which were Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, and Carson Wentz was the big one there. Now it's a point where, all those guys are on different teams now. So what do the Colts do in the process of giving up all this to give up Carson Wentz here in a trade? Unsure right now. I mean, there's still some options. There is the option of drafting one. I know that we have said multiple times that we don't really like a lot of these people in the draft, but there is somebody out there that maybe potentially the Colts do like and want to see them evaluate. There might be another option for in the trade market that we haven't heard of yet. Maybe something we just haven't spoken of yet. But thank you to the 162 of you in here right now who are listening to this. Basically, breaking news just happened about 20 minutes ago. Not even that. Schefter reported that Carson Wentz is being traded to the Washington Commanders. So he is now officially a Commander Wentz for a package of picks that includes 2 third-rounders. And Washington is taking up all of the contract of a Carson Wentz. So this is huge, big news. And especially for the Colts when it comes to their cap situation. Not only are you saving money now, but now they're taking even more And now we're going to be able to have a few extra million to be able to spend money on investing into the team, right? So, yo, what up, H-Town? What's up, dude? How's everybody feeling about this? How's everybody feeling about it in the chat? I see 200 people in here right now. Thank you to everyone that is just tuning in. I'm sure more of this is going to be coming out. I don't know if there is going to be more. I don't know if there's going to be more included in that draft package. It doesn't seem like it. But at the same time, you know, that was still, I'm surprised that the Colts even had a trade market for Wentz to begin with. You know, I mean, I'm just saying, I didn't think that the Colts would be able to do something for that. I honestly didn't think that they'd be able to get a lot from Wentz. I mean, I'll be honest, but because of Washington trying to make a jump for Russell Wilson, Russell Wilson was obviously not getting traded to Washington because Seattle did not want to participate in that trade, especially within that conference. So the Washington Commanders had to go out and get a guy that, you know, was not in their conference, somebody that would be able to, they'd be at least be able to keep a stone throw to what they expect to do, right? Well, at least now Wentz is going to be going into a system. You got Ron Rivera, a very well-rounded head coach, great head coach. He's got some good weapons on that offensive side, and, you know, a defense that, when healthy, can play very well. So it's going to be interesting, you know. And Zach, I'm kind of agreeing with you. I'm stunned. I'm a little stunned. I didn't expect the move. I was literally getting home and just now getting the chance to finally take all of this in. I honestly did not expect any of this to go down, but here we are. I mean, it's crazy because now Carson Wentz is back in the NFC East. He's back in the NFC East. I mean, it's crazy to think about because, guys, I know everyone's panicking. Oh, the Colts don't have a quarterback anymore, at least right now. But there are moves that the Colts could still make to make something happen. Believe me, there are levels to this. And again, those 2 third-rounders, we'll see what happens with them. I don't know whether or not they're going to use them in a trade package to try to move up in the draft. Are they going to use it for something else? I don't know at the moment, but all we know is Carson Wentz is no longer the Indianapolis Colts quarterback of the future. He is now a Washington Commander. And the great news is, I honestly think the best thing about all of it for you guys to get you to understand is that the amount of money that they took off of that to be able to take that money away from the Colts, that was huge. Okay. That was huge. I don't think a lot of people are talking about it enough because, I mean, with Carson, even if the Colts had cut Carson Wentz before that, even if the Colts had cut them before that, they still would have had to eat some cap, right? So Washington is taking all of this money that the Colts would have potentially still lost, which if I'm betting on, I think it was anywhere from 6 to 10 million, which is, I think, was what the amount that they were going to look to get. So again, it'll be very interesting to see what the Colts are able to do now with that kind of compensation. Again, I'm not panicking when it comes to the quarterback situation. I think that the Colts are going to figure something out. I just think that, I honestly, I'm seeing a lot of people say this is a dumb move. Again, the only thing I have a problem with is just, you know, with that argument is, if you're not confident in the quarterback that you have, then why are you going to want to pay him $28 million, right? That's the whole point here, is we're trying to free that money up, right? We're going to free up all of this cap space. You have a ton more free agent capital to be able to now use for free agents. And whatever quarterback you're thinking about, and Cody saying new details on the trade. Yeah, and David, I agree with you completely. Them taking that full contract is a huge deal. I want to see the new trade details if Cody's right on that. Oh man. This is very interesting. Full terms here. We just got Ian Rappaport's new terms. The Commanders get Carson Wentz, and they get this year's third rounder and next year's third rounder that can convert to a second based on last year's incentives. So that's what we're seeing here. Hold on. Okay, so basically, based on the incentives, I don't know what the incentives are yet, but it sounds like that third rounder for next year's third rounder, not this upcoming year, but next year's, could turn into a second if Carson does all the incentives. I'm not sure of the incentives yet. I haven't seen the incentives work yet, but it sounds like that third for next year could be a second in the next few years. Let's see. Yeah, I haven't seen any of the incentives. I think it's similar to last year between us and the Eagles. Yeah, I think it sounds about right. That sounds about right. Oh man, this is crazy. This is crazy, y'all. Whew. Jordan Love incoming? No, I'll pass. But thank you to the 300 plus of you in here right now. Greatly appreciate you guys spending a little bit of time with me, just breaking down this Indianapolis Colts news. It is just going absolutely bonkers now. I just the great question is the great question is just now who do we get? You know, that's going to be the big question here is what do you get out of this quarterback market that we have? So I don't know. I don't know what the direction is right now. I'm just glad that the Colts were able to get a deal done for Carson Wentz because they sounded like they wanted to move on. So it'll be interesting to say the least. Oh man, it's going to be Rivers. Oh man. Winston and draft a rookie. You know, I've heard people talk about that. Heard about the Colts potentially trading for or signing a free agent quarterback for low amount and then, drafting one of those guys that they think they can mold into what they want. Again, it's going to cost you a lot less money than what Wentz was getting you right now. But Wentz going to the Washington Commanders would have been a huge, huge thing for them, so because now you get all that cap, right? That $20 million that we just saved up because now Washington's going to take all that, right? So that's great. Oh man. I see Mariota, blah, 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 blah. Oh man. Well, again, like I said, guys, this is pretty insane. Like I said, I didn't expect this. I don't know when I was expecting it to happen, but nevertheless, give Luck a call. I don't have his number. If anyone else has his number, feel free. But And then on top of everything else, yeah, make sure you guys like the stream. I mean, that we can get this out to a ton more people. There's only 65 likes on it. If you guys like the stream, then we can get this out to even more people while we're still talking about it. And then on top of it, Eric Fisher is reported to not being signed back. Schefter reported that as well early on. So, now the Colts have a lot of different things that they need to work on this offseason, right? But with this cap now being free, and I'll have to take a look at all of it. But nevertheless, I think that it's insane that this finally did happen. So I just need to. Oh, okay, so here's what Schefter just said. Okay, so let me see here. Wait, so we gave up our second for this year too? We gave up our second? Because Schefter's just reporting that we gave up our second too. So we gave up Carson and our second rounder for this year. And the Commanders gave us two of their third rounders. And that third will become a second if Carson plays 70% of the snaps. And and their second rounder. Okay, I was okay. So we gave up our second rounder, and we got their second rounder. Okay, so that's fine. Okay, I was like, damn, we gave up Carson and our second. Because I thought they were gonna have to use that extra third to try to get back into there. But okay, that's fine. Okay, we got their second round pick as well. Okay, so that works for me. I don't remember what Washington's second round pick was. Do you guys remember what number that was? Washington Commanders second round pick. Second round, number 42, it looks like. Okay, number 42. Okay. Yeah, it's 5 picks earlier too. Okay. So basically we gave up our second and Carson. We got their second, their third, and then a third for next year that could potentially be a second. So, okay, that sounds even better. I like that even better. I like it even better now because now we just moved up 5 spots in the draft. You never know what that 5 spots could be for the second round. Hell, we moved up 4 spots in the draft 2 years ago to go get Jonathan Taylor. You saw what that could do. So I think that's very interesting. I love that news. Man, that's awesome. Man, oh man. Y'all are seeing this live, and they took the full contract too. Yo, where's Matt at? Yeah. I'm going to text Matt and see if he wants to come in here. B-Train, thank you for the $2 super chat, by the way. Thank you so very much. You think off-field issues played a factor? I definitely believe so. I don't really understand a lot of the reasons as to why. But I felt like there had to have been something, right? Because the play spoke for itself. I don't think that was the whole answer as to why the Colts kind of abandoned him, right? I just don't think it could have. All right, I'm going to send this link over to Matt. And I got so many people blowing up my phone all of a sudden. Everybody's blowing up my phone, right? Because everyone's like, what happened with Carson? What happened with Carson? Hold on a second. Okay. Give me 1 second here, guys. Austin Graham with the $5 super chat. Thank you so very much. 70 million in cap space. Is this finally the year we spend? Dude, if we have 70 million, that would put us at the most money of any team in the NFL right now with cap space. You absolutely need to spend that money. And especially now, since you don't have a quarterback, you absolutely spend that money in free agency. There is no chance. Sounds like Darius Leonard isn't happy about it. We need to draft a quarterback from Ole Miss, but all this is more bad news for Stetson Bennett. He would have definitely had a job in the NFL this year. Well, thank you, James, for the $5 super chat. Greatly appreciate it. Yeah, we definitely probably need to draft one at this point. It'll be very interesting to see what they do. But yeah, I mean, this is crazy. I mean, another quarterback is going to have to come in here for the Colts. And, you know, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what they do. I'm sorry. Cody, like, yeah, definitely think they'll try to trade up to snag a QB. Yeah, that would make total sense. It really would. Oh yeah. If in case you guys haven't voted yet, Cody put up a poll in the comment section asking how do you feel about the trade. Make sure to go vote on that. Already at 220 right now. So feel free to go and vote on that on how you feel about the trade. But sounds like some people aren't very happy about Colts trading trading Carson. Darius Leonard just spoke about it. Also, vibing with the $2 super chat. You also go get Mitch. That would be solid. I don't want Mitch Trubisky, but I mean, that's up for Ballard to decide. But thank you, vibing, for the $2 super chat. I greatly appreciate it. Yeah, we literally just had a video where we discussed it. Yeah, the crazy part is we just did a video last night about the players who are available left for the Colts to get. And we were talking about Carson Wentz in this quarterback situation for about 10, 15 minutes. And then we were going to post it today. And then right before it got posted, this news happened. So we're going to probably have to do another video again about this. So we're going to see what happened. But Darius just said, here we go again, about to be 5 years with the Colts and 5 different quarterbacks. Thank you, Carson, for everything this year, my guy. Wish you nothing but the best. I mean, it's definitely, I mean, I don't blame Darius Leonard for feeling that way. I mean, you know, it has been that many times that the Colts have had to switch quarterbacks. You know, I mean, Darius Leonard got drafted, played with Andrew Luck, then played with Jacoby Brissett, and then played with Phillip Rivers, and then played with Carson Wentz. And now he's going to have to play with a completely different quarterback again, right? So, you know, the Colts have not had good luck with quarterback situations over the last few years. Hopefully we can change that. We'll see what happens, but yeah, man, craziness right now, man. It's crazy to think that happened today. Corey 44, the boss, with the $5 super chat and the Tom Grossi thumbnail there. Thank you. Think they should get a vet first and still draft a QB in this year's draft to train up and learn behind someone who knows the NFL. That sounds like an option that they would probably go with, honestly. I mean, I think that you would learn from a veteran, and, you know, you draft a guy that you think you won't be able to draft one in the first round, but if there's a quarterback in that second round that you think you can get and build up, then I think that could potentially be a thing. So we'll see what happens, though. But we'll see what happens. I don't know what they're gonna do. It's gonna be very interesting to see how they approach this. Oh man. Yeah, it is incredible how many of you actually think that Sam Ellinger could do anything for us. Man, this is quite the craziness. Vibing again with the $2 super chat. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Do you think Ellinger gets a chance? I really don't believe so. I know that the Colts drafted him for the chance to, do that, to, be a guy in the locker room, but it's just one of those things. He's just not ready. He's not ready for the big moment. And he was a 6th round guy and he just doesn't have a great arm at the moment. So we'll see what happens, but I thank you again for that super chat. Greatly appreciate it. Hey, my guy, Matt from Inside Podcast. Hi. My guy, it happened.
It's insane. Look, I woke up at 1, I was just relaxing. They had the Disney investor thing on. So I was like, oh, Kenobi trailer. We got the Kenobi trailer. As that was playing, Carson Wentz gets traded. So I'm just like, just in a whirlwind of like emotions. It's crazy.
Yeah. So, so I was literally just got home from work. Thankfully, I got off early. Thank God. So I could break this news. And here we are. We're in this spot. So obviously you saw he got traded to the Washington Commanders. Commanders tried to go all in on Russell Wilson, but the Seahawks said, no, we're not going to trade him to an NFC rival team. So we prefer to just send him to the AFC or to the NFC. Yeah. And, so now Carson gets that deal. So in case you didn't see what the full terms of everything was yet, they just came out from Schefter. So the Commanders are getting Carson Wentz and our 2nd rounder this year. Yeah. And we are getting their 2nd rounder this year, which we move up 5 spots, by the way. And we get their 3rd rounder this year. And we get their 3rd rounder next year, which if Carson Wentz plays 70% of the snaps in 2023 or in 2022, actually, then we will get that 3rd round pick moves into a 2nd. Right. So basically we ended up getting it for for 5 spots moved up in the draft this year. You get a 3rd rounder to go along with it and a potential 3rd rounder that could move to a 2nd rounder. And I don't know if you saw, but Washington's taking his full contract.
Yeah, I saw that. That surprised me. I thought if we were going to trade him.
Huge, man. That's huge.
Now we have 70.
I think that, we have 70 million, the most of insane. Any team in the NFL in free agency cap room. It's time for Ballard to go all in on this roster. It's time.
Give me the best edge available. Give me a great receiver.
Freaking Jones, please.
Bring in Jameis Winston, the guy that I keep getting attacked for just for supporting him.
Yeah, I know. You get attacked.
Bring him in. Bring him in. I'm on the train, guys. Hop on the Jameis Winston train.
Thank you to the 410 of you in here right now. Greatly appreciate it. Yeah, there's a lot of people, bro. The stream went off quick. Within the first 5 minutes, I was already over 100 people, and then it jumped to 200 quickly. So yeah, again, for anyone that's just joining and is just figuring it out, the Colts have traded quarterback Carson Wentz to the Washington Commanders for their 2nd round pick this year. We traded our 2nd. We're moving up 5 spots. We're getting their 3rd pick as well, and then a 3rd pick for next year's draft that could be moved up to a 2nd rounder if Carson plays 70% of the snaps. So, so I was thinking that what the Colts might potentially do at this point, Matt, is, they could sign a quarterback in free agency and for a low price, and then draft a quarterback potentially in that 2nd round that they feel they could mold into a future quarterback for them.
Yeah. I think that's definitely something they could do. They can bring in maybe an older vet, somebody that can maybe teach a rookie that we draft. They can bring in, a Mitch Trubisky, Jameis Winston. Ballard did like Marcus Mariota, so maybe they could bring him in. There's a lot they could do. And if they want to go after a quarterback in free agency, nobody's outbidding us at this point. We can pretty much choose anybody we want at this point. So there's a lot of different routes they can go. I just hope they use this money, add another weapon, add another edge defender, and then use whatever money you got left for your quarterback, whether it's a rookie or, you sign somebody cheap in free agency.
Yeah, I mean, there's that, and then we hear a lot of the people talking about there you got people talking about Jimmy
Mhm.
G and a couple other things. But yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. I hope not Jimmy G. I don't want Jimmy G at all. I've been on that train for a while, and then also he just got out of shoulder surgery. Can't speak. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
they
But he
said
just got
that
out of surgery.
he's expected to be ready. I mean, there's
Right.
not they said there's virtually no chance he misses time. It's just a
Mhm.
matter of, is it going to be with the 49ers or is it going to be with somebody else?
Right.
So,
I I just don't wanna take that contract on that he's got right
yeah,
now,
you're right.
and I don't wanna give up
100%.
the assets.
I don't want to do it either. I would much rather, I would rather go a different route, but I mean, again, I think the most underrated thing of all this, I think the most
Mhm.
underrated thing of it all is Washington taking that full contract. That
That's
is the
what's
most
surprising.
underrated part of this whole thing.
Like, that's insane. Like I said, I thought we were gonna have to pay, like, nice. Look, I'm not, I'm not gonna speak ill will on, him at all.
Yeah, I
it
know.
did go bad, but
I'm not gonna trash Carson Wentz
yeah.
because I like the guy. But
Yeah, he's a
you
good
know,
dude.
he was a good guy.
Um,
I just, just obviously wasn't the quarterback for us.
yeah,
Peyton
just didn't work out.
no goal with the $5 super chat. Thank you. Any thoughts on Watson? The decision will be made Friday if he can play or not. Well, that's not true. It's Friday, yes, is the day that he has his hearing.
Yeah.
It'll decide, whether or not the courts are going to continue to push this issue or not.
Mhm.
Ironically enough, I mean, I think his group even tried to push that decisioning back.
Yeah.
But obviously they're going to do it Friday. So we're going to find out, whether they're going to pursue this any further,
Mhm.
or they're going to keep going or just
Right.
let him go. And then at that point, if the legal issue is moved on from, then somebody's going to ask, but there's almost no chance that the Colts get Deshaun Watson. There's almost no chance.
Yeah,
It's just
definitely. They won't trade him in, the division anyway. What I think they could do realistically now is they could trade, the picks they got and move up into the first round if there's a guy that they like. So like some people brought up Malik Willis, maybe
yeah, it doesn't have to be
you know,
an early first rounder.
no, it could be like a mid round.
Yeah, it could be a late first round pick. And, I mean, you give up your second, you give up a couple thirds, you
Yeah.
might give up your second this year, your second next year, and then a third and something else. I mean, the funny thing is, like, yeah, it's not going to, there's some teams that are not going to be super picky about, oh, I mean, I have the 26th pick. And if I move back 16 spots, well, then you're going to have to give me a few picks. So
Yeah. I'd
we'll
say
see what
definitely.
happens. I don't know. At this point, I really don't even know because I don't know how the Colts are going to handle this.
I don't know either.
There's so many options right now. But I mean, the crazy part is, I mean, Kiefer just put this out. So the Colts now need a quarterback.
Yeah.
They're most likely going to need a left tackle because Eric
Mhm.
Fisher is reported to be moving on after
Yeah.
this. Obviously, we need wide receivers. Obviously, you need a tight end because Jack
Yeah.
Doyle's gone. You know, I don't know about offensive line yet. Don't know who we're gonna resign. Have no freaking idea. You obviously need edge rush.
Yeah.
So there's 5, and then probably gonna need some cornerback depth too. So, the Colts are gonna have a lot of positions to fill.
Yeah.
You just hope that with this extra amount of money that they have, that they're able to fill almost all those positions with the money, with the cap that they have.
Yeah. It's just now they got more money that they can spend on some of these positions.
And if they don't, I swear to
Yeah,
God,
I'll freak out.
I'll lose my shit. I will. I'll lose my shit if we don't do
Oh,
anything.
I'll freak out. I definitely will if we end up not going after somebody in free agency that's like high level.
Gives you the opportunity. It really gives you the opportunity to just potentially overpay on some people.
Yeah.
Which is fine if that means you're going to get if you're going to get somebody.
Right.
So in case anyone wants to hear the draft review again, anyone that's just tuning in, so Colts are giving up Carson Wentz and their second round pick this year to the Commanders. And we are getting their second rounder this year, which is moving us up 5 picks. We get their third rounder as well. And we get their third rounder next year, which if Wentz plays 70% of the snaps, that pick translates into a second rounder. So it turns out basically Carson Wentz was worth a second round pick, a third round pick, and a potential other third round pick that could be a second. So
right. Definitely. But no, and then I saw Darren mention Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams got franchise tagged.
Yeah, he got tagged.
Unfortunately, but we could have gotten him. I would have been more open to it now with the 70 that we have.
Yeah, no, right? Would have been crazy to be able.
Still would have 40 million. We basically just swap out Carson Wentz's, salary for Devontae Adams' salary.
Tell me about it.
But no, and then Stetson Bennett. Now I don't want Stetson Bennett. Great story. Had a really good story. Just how he got to where he was. Today. That was a really nice thing. I don't want Stetson Bennett though. Maybe as like a third string. That'd be nice.
My phone won't stop blowing up. It's like I got so much going on. Holy crap. Oh man. I mean, look, I like the in Madden terms, this decision was made solely based on whether the Colts were willing to pay $28 million for a 74 overall QB. If Carson was $18 million cheaper, they would have probably kept him. You're right. I mean, you're right. If Carson was half that contract that he had currently, then yeah, the Colts would probably have no problem with paying him $15 or $15 million for that year. But when you're paying a guy $28 million, that's a lot of freaking money. You expect him to be elite. But Spirit Walk with the $20 super chat. Thank you so much. Says, agreed, Derek. Taking on the full cap charge is huge. My take on our next guy is Trubisky on a cheap contract and fortify everything else. Yeah, I mean, at this point, you need to try to fortify everything else, right? You're going to try to find a way to make your team better for the years to come when you feel like you finally can get your guy, right? I mean, at this point, it's about building up the rest of the team until you find your guy. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens at this point. There's a lot of avenues that they can go with, but Spirit Walk, thank you for the $20 super chat. I greatly appreciate it. We've got like 500 votes on this poll about how you feel about the Carson Wentz trade. 48% of you saying you're loving it. 20% of you say you hate it. And 32% of you say, meh, don't really know yet. So interesting there.
True. I mean, that is definitely, something we got to keep in mind. It might not work out. I mean, if, Carson Wentz goes to Washington and wins a Super Bowl, especially if we don't make the playoffs for the next couple of years, that would definitely hurt.
Commanders have $33 million in cap space, and Carson Wentz counts for 28.
That's insane.
That's insane. Again, I get some people's concern about the Colts taking a step back. I get that. It's going to be interesting because I think that they'll probably be around the same spot potentially, but that's if the roster doesn't change. Okay. That's if the roster doesn't change. If you can get a quarterback that played semi-close to what Carson Wentz did this last year, which again, Carson threw for 30 touchdowns. Okay. That's not a ton. That's not a ton of touchdowns. Okay. That's not insane. Okay. So, and again, you want to limit the turnovers. You want to find somebody that can do that. And you're going to be able to do that because you have the running game that you have with Jonathan Taylor. Okay. But you are now able to be in a position where you can improve the rest of your team to where that quarterback doesn't need to have
Leonard put a tweet out.
Yeah. Oh, I saw Darius's tweet. Yeah, I saw Darius's tweet. I get it. I mean, I get his frustration. I don't
You too.
I mean, it's very true. I mean, I get it. Um, it's just one of those things that, it's part of this business, and Darius just wants to be able to have a quarterback that, he can call his friend and not see him leave the next year,
Yeah. I definitely understand his frustration. I mean, because 5 quarterbacks in 5 years, I'm sure everybody on that team's upset that that's where we're at this point.
Yeah, I'm sure of it. Yeah. I totally get it. It's just one of those things. I see every single person keep talking about Jimmy G. And now they're saying that Rappaport's saying there's a good shot that they get Jimmy G. Look, I would much rather the Colts go with a stopgap guy and a rookie than trading for Jimmy G. 100%.
Yeah, I do not want Jimmy G at all. Look, in Jacksonville, man, he wasn't horrible. So if you can't find anybody else,
he's never been a terrible quarterback. He's never been a good quarterback, but he's never been terrible.
Yeah, so if you can't find anybody else, and like Trubisky and Winston and Mariota and all those guys are gone, okay, fine.
And look, I'm sure that Darius Leonard and everyone else is not pissed that is not pissed at the Colts for making the decision.
Right.
I think they're just mad that they're in the situation that they're in.
Yeah.
Right. Of course, who wouldn't, right? I mean, you really wish that you would have that quarterback so you don't have to worry about it. But at the end of the day, unfortunately, it's just a business, and hopefully that they can make something, out of that. You certainly hope.
Definitely. But
who thought they would trade DeAndre Hopkins?
It's true.
True
and
that.
If Bill O'Brien was there, and as long as all the legal stuff got cleared up, I'll give a 7th round pick for Deshaun Watson. I'm sure he'd take that. He'd probably give us a 1st as well.
Matt Ryan reborn.
I'm not against Matt Ryan as long as his contract.
Matt Ryan, I just hope that just restructure that deal quite a bit, because he's getting paid $30 million, is he not?
It's like 40 something, but we would have to pay all of it. I think Atlanta would have to take on 27 or 30 million of the 48 that he's owed. So hey, if he's willing to restructure that deal, I'll take him. Kirk Cousins, I looked at. If we were to trade for him, all we would have to pay him is $10 million, and then Minnesota would take on the rest. And with them not being willing to restructure that deal, maybe they're open to letting him go.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, and they're asking, what options are there that you think you like? There's plenty of options.
Yeah.
Obviously, maybe not an upgrade over Carson, but again, I think people are just not seeing the bigger picture of understanding that you can now build this roster the way you want to by bringing in a couple of guys at very key positions that matters to be able to improve the team. So when the next quarterback, who maybe isn't as good as Carson Wentz, doesn't have to come into a situation where they don't have weapons, they don't have a pass rush on the other side, and all of these other things, right? I think that's important to understand here.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
Sign Fitzmagic. Hey, listen.
Screw it.
I wouldn't be opposed to it, because if you're gonna draft a guy, in the draft for a quarterback, I would love to have Fitzmagic do that, because Fitzmagic, he's been around the league for a long time. He's knowledgeable. The guy's very knowledgeable, and not to mention Fitzmagic, when he's healthy, can actually still play.
True.
He doesn't turn the ball over a ton, so I wouldn't be a terrible. That would not be a terrible thing.
Yeah,
so
bring Fitzmagic in, load this team up, and let's get him to his first playoff. He's never made the playoffs. Let's get him there. That way he can make the Hall of Fame.
I love that people are saying, what are you talking about? Improve the roster. They had like 10 Pro Bowlers. Well, first off, it was 7. And second off,
7.
They were in positions that a lot of times didn't matter. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't really want to say that when it comes to our Pro Bowl guys, but again, we've made videos about this the whole time. What do the Colts lack? They lack weapons. What do they lack? They lack a pass rush. And those are two insanely important things, as we just saw from this last year. And, one of their Pro Bowlers was not their quarterback.
It's a joke, Christopher. He's not a Hall of Famer. I was joking. But yeah.
I didn't even hear you say that. I was so
I was like, yeah, let's make the playoffs so he can make the Hall of Fame. I was joking. I was joking. But no, in all seriousness, yeah, we definitely had 7 Pro Bowlers, more than any other team. That's nice, I guess. But we have a bottom 5 receiving group. We have Michael Pittman, and then pretty much everybody else, receiving wise, would probably be at best a number 3 option on a middle of the road team. So, like Doolin, I love Doolin, great special teams player, and had a nice year, for how much he played, but he wouldn't be a number 2 guy or a number 1 guy in any team. At best, he'd be a 3, if not practice squad. So we need to add more receivers. Our tight ends, I love Jack Doyle. Didn't have the greatest year statistically. Mo Alley Cox, inconsistent. We need to improve our tight end position. We need to improve our receivers. We need a left tackle. Like, we need to add these things to improve the team. Because if we don't, and we just get a quarterback and we add some depth pieces, we're not making the playoffs unless we get like a great quarterback on this team. So yeah, we need to improve the team. I know we had Pro Bowlers, but those Pro Bowlers didn't get us to the playoffs.
Yeah, very true. Exactly right. You need to
and Doyle retired.
Guys, yeah, you need to find guys at certain positions that will make more of an impact. Also, guys, thank you everyone that's in here, the 500 of you that are in here right now. If you guys take 1 second and hit that like button for us, we greatly would appreciate it. We could potentially get more and more people in here. All that like does for us is to help push this thing out. So I'd greatly appreciate it if you guys could take 1 second and just smash that like button for me.
The team didn't get us to the playoffs. Okay, the team played like crap the last game. The entire team. It wasn't just Wentz.
Yeah,
Wentz was horrible.
It was the entire team.
Historically terrible, but everybody was trash in that game.
Trevor Lawrence
defense could not stop
by a long shot in that one.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence was horrible for like what
all year. He was horrible all year up until that last game. That's it.
And then our defense allowed him to just drive down the field like it was nothing. He looked like he was at Clemson playing against Notre Dame or playing against some of these other teams. So it's like, of course. The whole team played like crap, not just Wentz.
Oh man, craziness, man! I'm still trying to wrap my head around everything that's happening.
Mm-hmm. Right, and look, I'll take Amari Cooper now. We got the money. Screw it, pay him the money.
No, I'm not paying Amari Cooper $20 million.
Who else is available?
There's plenty of them. There's Allen Robinson.
That's
there's
about
Christian
it.
Kirk.
Kirk's nowhere near as good as Cooper. Kirk is a solid number 2 guy.
Christian Kirk had the 3rd most receiving yards of the free agents available in this whole thing.
Yeah,
I'll pull it up. Hold on. I'll look it up.
Because free agency, a lot of the really good receivers are gone. I mean, there's still guys that you can go after.
Thank you for the $5 super chat. We didn't want to see the team go after free agency. Allen Robinson, Chandler Jones, Christian Kirk, Zach Ertz. Okay, so
I love Notre Dame. I love it. Ask Derek. I'm a big Notre Dame guy.
You're a freaking Notre Dame homer. Okay,
I'm speaking facts.
Look. Okay, let's just cut to the chase here. Okay, I want to go back to receptions here. I'll organize this based off receptions. So Christian Kirk is still there. That's a golden one for me.
Yeah, I'll take
Cedric Wilson is a potential option. I don't know if Dallas is going to re-sign him or not. Alan Lazard is still up there. Allen Robinson is there. And then I think there was a few more down this way.
Stanley's available.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a couple guys there. And then, like I said before, you could talk about going with a tight end specifically, right? There's a couple different tight end options that didn't get franchise tag that, could still, work for that. Right. So there's something that could definitely happen there. Colts need CB badly. I'm assuming you're talking about quarterbacks, but no, I don't think we need a cornerback.
I think for depth reasons.
Chark. Well, yeah, for depth reasons, they definitely need one, but they don't need a big name cornerback.
No, they don't have to pay big money for
DJ Chark is another one.
But he has injury problems.
He's had one injury. He's been in the league for like 2 or 3 years. He had one serious injury this last year. I know he had a few from before, but he's a guy that you don't have to pay a ton for. But I'm not against it. His ability to create plays is insane.
Look, I'm not against it. Honestly, you could add me or you to the team, and the receiving core would be much better than what it is. Like, you can add anybody to that group. I'll take whoever. Like, give me Chark. I'll take him. He just, that injury kind of scares me. What's up, buddy?
I don't know, man. This is going to be very interesting. Oh, doggo.
But
just made this live
Amari Cooper. He does not want Amari Cooper. He's freaking out. He's like, no,
let me alone.
And he left.
Oh man, I don't know, man. It sucks, man, because I could have only imagined this team with Andrew Luck.
Oh,
if only our GM from before would have done a better job at protecting him.
Yeah, that would have been nice, but here's what it is. I mean, look, I saw Samuel put sign Armstead and Chandler Jones. I'd be fine adding those two. I'll pay Armstead money. I'll pay him some money, especially if you're not going to pay a ton. I'm going to
pay him $25 million for his last 2 years of his his career, right? He's 31 years old, and he's going to be getting paid over $20 million.
Right. But the way I look at it is, if you're not going to pay like a lot of money for a quarterback, why not? You have $70 million. So you can add him. Chandler Jones would be, a little more than half of it. Then you get a quarterback for around $10 million at the most. And, it'd be fine. Yeah, I mean, he has a couple years left, but I take him. Yeah, might as well.
It's going to be interesting. It'll be very interesting to see what the Colts make of this situation. Right. I mean, there's so many options you can go with now. It's kind of funny because I've seen people literally say we need to get rid of Carson, and now Carson's gone, and they're like, well, what the hell do we do now? It's like, well, what do you want? Right? Like, you can't just say you want one thing and just not
right.
something for you. So I don't know.
True. But I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see what they do. Look, all chips in, right? So we'll see what that is.
Well, that obviously that was not fully endowed, but
yeah,
I just don't know like what to expect going forward, and I'm just not gonna complain. I'm just gonna sit back and I'm just gonna see what they do with this $70 million cap, and we'll see what happens.
Right. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. I want Jameis Winston. I've been on that train. Assuming the Saints don't bring him back, I'm on the Jameis Winston trade. Get him, sign him for a year, bring in a rookie quarterback, have him sit behind Jameis, and if Jameis doesn't work out, then you got that rookie, who developed for a year, and you can throw him in there.
And I love that this I love this notion that I do absolutely love people who say, oh, well, how are these stars supposed to come to Indianapolis when they don't have a quarterback, and their management is so contempt and their team can't win, like blah 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 blah. Like, okay, then why do big name players ever stick with organizations like the Lions and the Jets? Right. Why? Aquara, who was the top defensive end prospect of the whole free agency last year.
Yeah.
signed a 3-year deal with the Lions to come back. Like, why did he do that? Why did he do that?
Right.
Why? Why did he do that? He knew Matt Stafford wasn't going to be there. Why did he stay? Oh, yeah, because it's money. That's why. It's money. Money talks.
Yep.
Money talks 90% louder than your actions do.
Cash money. But look, I saw bring in Josh Rosen. Yeah, if you bring in Josh Rosen, you're pretty much trying to get that first pick for next year.
Right.
So look, if you want to get, Bryce Young or CJ Stroud, next year, if you want to go after somebody like that, bring in Josh Rosen. Bring him in. Maybe that's all chips in. We're going after one of those guys.
Clone Peyton Manning.
To 2 year. Yeah. Do it. But I don't know. I mean, I'm all for bringing in pretty much anybody at this point. Just somebody who can make the layups. Give me one of those guys.
Yeah, a quarterback that, can throw the football to Jonathan Taylor when he's wide open and has 25 yards to be able to run. Yeah.
Potentially could, run for a touchdown, win a game that could get you, the division or make the playoffs at the very least. But there isn't a quarterback that wouldn't throw it to somebody who's wide open right in front of him, right? Of course, a quarterback would do that. Like that just makes sense. Of course
Actually,
we would do that.
I'm gonna actually make a tweet in remembrance of Carson, and I'm gonna piss off Colts Nation by talking about him.
Jeez, and then like Cody messaged me. He's like, "Tweet it out." It's like, what? It's like, just tweet it, okay? And then it was the Carson Wentz ...
Yeah, no, him and I both did that yesterday, and everyone started freaking out. They're like, "Is there some news here? Is there something going on like that we don't know about?" It was like, no, we literally just did it.
Yeah, we did. You guys did it to see people freak out.
People up, and then the next day, Carson Wentz gets traded.
Yeah, so look, we knew, guys. We knew Carson Wentz was gone.
We knew, okay? We had a strong feeling, and we knew, and we got it, okay? So,
see, I would love to get Derek Carr. I really would. I don't. Part of me doesn't know if he's available because they seem like they're happy with him. But, Pete Carroll did say they were not going to trade Russell Wilson. So, offer the right price, Derek Carr is available. Because I think he would be the next best option to go after. Yeah, that is true. Cody, he's like, I lost a lot of followers from that. And I was like, oh, I think I gained 2 people. Which is pretty crazy. But yeah, there's Derek Carr, whose contract wouldn't be horrible.
I'm sure I'll get 1 million hate followers for that.
Right.
All I did was literally just say good luck, Carson. So Carson Wentz will not only face the Eagles twice next season, he'll also travel back to Indianapolis to play against the Colts too.
I'll be at that game.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna have to go to that game.
I have to go now.
Like I have to see it. I want to see the reaction.
Any chance the Colts trade for a guy like Lockett? Seahawks in a rebuild could do a lot for development of Pittman. I've heard somebody talk about that before. Yeah. I think that it's a lot more logical that they get rid of Lockett than DK Metcalf. Let's just get that one thing straight. Metcalf is their offensive weapon, right? He's their guy, right? They drafted him for that reason. So it's one of those things. I would be okay with Lockett because I think Lockett is a great deep threat, and I think he's got great hands. I think it'd be great for him.
Yeah, I mean, heck, both of them could be available. I mean, they're clearly entering a rebuild mode, so
yeah, they're clearly entering rebuild, so they would definitely give him up for something a little less, I think.
Yeah, So, I mean, I would be for either one of them.
Do not expect Jimmy G to be traded to the Colts. Another team will be willing to give up more in a trade. I'm thinking that's true too.
Yeah,
honestly,
I think that's
I
possible.
think the team would probably give up more. Honestly,
Yeah, I think that's definitely possible because there's Tampa Bay.
call up Brady. Gronk can come too. I would love that, bro. I'll be honest.
I would love it, but unfortunately, it's going to cost 5 first-round picks.
Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, forgot about that.
Yeah,
well, if we wait 1 or 2 more years when he's 47 and he's comfortable again, maybe they'll drop it down to 1 first rounder.
Maybe 1. Say maybe. He might do 2 still.
Oh man.
But
well, I mean, basically, just wait. That shit by the Colts media team was nasty and unprofessional. What happened?
Did somebody
tweet something?
I don't know.
Hold up. They literally just tweeted, "Hey, at Commanders," and it's just a little kid knocking on the door for 6 seconds.
Nice. And then, fun fact: 2 years ago today, Rudy Gobert touched the microphones after his press conference.
Yeah.
And then, like a day or 2 after that, the NBA shut down.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Happy anniversary.
All right, hold up. I got Andrew Thomason, my guy, coming in.
Oh,
Andrew.
Fellas, how we doing?
Pretty good. Man. How are you doing?
Good, man. Good.
Hey, I mean, so it happened. Your initial reaction?
I'm not surprised. I mean, we know. I mean, the last couple of weeks, reports have been out for how long now? This was always the move. Maybe not necessarily a trade. It was going to be one of the two. They were going to trade Wentz or they were going to move off of him. We know from reports from Zach Kiefer and Stephen Holder and the other guys, money was never going to be an issue. That was never going to be a factor into any of it. Excuse me. But I'm not surprised. And the Colts will have, a 5th starting quarterback in 5 years under Frank Reich. So never a dull moment around here.
Yeah, that you mentioned the 5th quarterback. Obviously, Darius Leonard voiced his frustration about it just about 20 minutes ago, put out a tweet saying, "Here we go again, 5th quarterback in 5 years with my time on the team this year." So we'll see how that plays out for the rest of the team. Obviously, they're not excited yet at the fact that they have to play with another quarterback, but we will see what happens. But in regards to the actual trade itself, I'm sure you probably have already seen the details, but I'll say it again in case anyone else who's in here just came in. So the Colts gave up Carson Wentz and their 2nd round pick this year, which is the 47th pick. They move up to the 42nd pick with the Commanders' 2nd round pick and got a 3rd rounder this year as well. And next year's 3rd rounder, which if Carson plays 70% of the snaps, that translates into a 2nd rounder next year as well. And then on top of it all, Washington is taking all of Carson Wentz's contract, all 28 million of it, including the signing bonus, which was 5 million, the roster bonus, I guess I should say. So what most impressed you about this trade? Do you think Ballard got a good return on this? Or what was your overall thoughts of the actual trade itself?
I think a good return is an understatement, Derek and Matt. I mean, listen, you give up a 1st round pick and what was it, a 3rd round pick for Carson Wentz. He then has the season that he has, which I think people would describe as very moderate, volatile maybe. Numbers can be deceiving, as we've discussed. 27 touchdowns, 7 picks, over 3,000 yards. But we all know, he didn't finish, as strong as I think the team would have liked him to. And here we are. As far as the trade terms themselves, 2 third-round picks, one of which is conditional under the exact same conditions that the Colts' 2nd round pick was a conditional this past season. So if Carson Wentz plays 70% of the snaps, the 3rd round pick for next year, 2023, then becomes a 2nd round pick. So in essence, the Colts could potentially be receiving a 3rd round pick this year, a 2nd round pick, as you mentioned, they swapped 47 or 42 for 47, and then potentially second round pick next year.
Yeah.
Is Chris Ballard good at his job, or is he good at his job?
He's very good at trades. That's for sure. That's for sure. I think the most undervalued thing of this all that everyone's forgetting is the fact that somehow he got Washington to take all of that contract, which now puts the Colts at $70 million in cap. And that is now the most in the NFL by a long shot.
Oh, easily. Well, and we know Chris Ballard, he's been maybe more conservative when it comes to spending big money in free agency. He's maybe had a little bit of a change of tune. Perhaps he sees a wide receiver or a tight end, that he goes after. Obviously some have been franchise tagged that have been, potentially what people have described as maybe good fits for the team. But the Colts ended up getting a really, really fair deal, more than fair. As a matter of fact, if I'm being completely honest, I didn't think they'd get more than maybe a 4th round pick for him.
Yeah, I was surprised that Ballard actually got that much return out of Carson. I'll be completely honest.
Well, and you talk about the $28 million. I mean, you talk about how huge that is. The Colts have what you said, $70.5 million to work with. I mean, that's, now granted, like I said, who knows if they're going to spend it, but they have it to work with. And that's that, they can at least strategize from this point forward, right? They can maybe pinpoint some free agents that they like, or they want to keep their eye on, or whatever the case may be. And here's the other thing too, that I think not enough people are talking about. I was talking with my brother about this on the phone. The Colts now have 2 third-round picks this year and the 42nd pick. Let's say, hypothetically speaking, there's a quarterback that they really like. Mm-hmm. Matt Corral, Desmond Ridder. Perhaps they move up into the late 1st round. They now have the appropriate capital to be able to do that.
Yes.
If you're Chris Ballard, getting that additional 3rd is huge, because maybe you're not willing to move up into the 1st round if you have to give up both your 3rd and 2nd round pick. Right. Now you have an additional 3rd round pick to work with, and that makes all the difference.
Yeah, I mean, I was saying it. I think Matt and I were mentioning it quite a bit earlier that, it seems like out of the option of a trade, at least like if you're wanting to keep your cap, then the best way you can move forward with it is, basically signing a bridge guy in free agency. You got a bunch of free agent quarterbacks that you could bring in, and then use that draft capital you have now acquired to be able to move up a little bit to go and get that quarterback that you say you would like to grab, and then mentor them behind that vet that you signed. And then, in a year or 2 from now, that guy is going to be able to, make some big moves. It's a possibility. We don't know. And I think a lot of people have said that, this quarterback class itself doesn't have as much of the star power as normally we would see. But, again, certain circumstances, certain quarterbacks, they go and they make big moves based off of how they're taught and everything like that. So, I mean, there's a lot of different options.
Here's another idea. If I can throw this out at you, Derek and Matt. The Colts, let's say hypothetically speaking, right? Carson Wentz plays 70% of Washington snaps. That 3rd round pick next year becomes a 2nd. They now have their 1st round pick next year and 2 seconds. Bryce Young and CJ Stroud are likely to, I would say it's more likely than not, they enter the NFL draft next year. Let's say they go another stopgap year. They go get Teddy Bridgewater. They go get Marcus Mariota. And they have a very, we'll call it a pedestrian season, 7-8 wins. Okay, fine. You now have draft capital. You're now in a position, you're probably picking 10 to 15, right? Plus you have the necessary capital to package, if you'd like, to move up and get, if you want, a Bryce Young or a CJ Stroud, 2 of the top quarterbacks.
CJ Stroud.
Bryce Young.
For me, it's this is a big win for the Colts. Chris Ballard, again, to get what he did for Carson Wentz is, I don't want to say it's, highway robbery. They didn't get a 1st round pick or anything, but 2/3, one of which is conditional, and swapping 2nd round picks. You move up 5 slots. And when you think about it, the Colts moved up to draft Jonathan Taylor in the 2nd round. And my point from that is they're in a position now in the top of the 2nd round where, 5 slots is huge. As we've seen with some of his other some of his other draft picks, moving up to get Taylor and then drafting Michael Pittman. I mean, those were high second round picks, and the second round starts in what, 38, 37, or 36? It might be 34. So they're in a position where they're almost, not quite, but almost, it's almost a late first round pick is what I'm getting at. Really, if you take the 42nd pick in the second round, it's very close to being in that bottom of the first round, very, very top of the second round. So job well done to Chris Ballard. I mean, again, I'm kind of surprised. I'd be shocked, like I said, I'd be lying to you rather if I sat here and told you they were going to get multiple thirds, one of which is conditional, and swap second round picks with Washington. I think that I think that'd be crazy, but it's Chris Ballard, and he knows value and draft picks and capital, I think, almost as well as any general manager in the NFL. And when it comes to Carson Wentz, he's now a Washington Commander, and the Colts for a fifth straight season will have a fifth straight starting quarterback. Should be fun. I know Ian Rappaport's come out and said that they're expected to be in the mix for Jimmy Garoppolo. My thinking on that is I would rather them. The Colts, let me rephrase. For the long haul, I think it's in the Colts' best interest to sign a vet, draft a rookie quarterback, and then groom that rookie quarterback, as you mentioned, Derek, through the veteran. If they trade for Jimmy Garoppolo, let's say they use one of the third-round picks they have and send it to San Francisco. I don't know if that's what it would cost, but hypothetically speaking, Stephen Holder pointed out, and this is a really good point, the Jimmy G's cap hit, I think, is $27 million. So you're almost essentially swapping, Carson, or the salary for Carson Wentz for the salary of Jimmy Garoppolo, which is exactly the same. Now, obviously, you get a different style quarterback and one who maybe makes better decisions, all of that stuff. But you then, in essence, you lose $27 million of your cap space. To me, if you're a Colts fan, I don't think you can be like super mad at the move, if you will, if that indeed happens. But in my opinion, and again, this is just an opinion, I think the Colts being in on Jimmy G is more of them doing their due diligence on who is available, the same as they did with Derek Carr, the same as they maybe did with Russell Wilson, or what some maybe argue they should have done with Aaron Rodgers. It's them doing their due diligence, in my opinion. I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo ends up in Indianapolis. He might, the Colts, who knows? But I think the better option, the long-term option, is to either sign a vet, draft a rookie this year, or sign a vet, play it out, trade up next year for one of the top quarterbacks in the draft. That way, he's a rookie, he's on a 4-year deal. You have a young nucleus of players, and you feel like you're ready to at least compete for a playoff, a playoff push, maybe not so much as a Super Bowl, but a playoff push. You put yourself in a much better position long-term with that move than you would if you went and traded a third-round pick for Jimmy G. And again, I don't know if I've said this already, I don't think it's going to cost take a third-round pick. I think it's going to take at least a second. And if you're Chris Ballard, are you trading the 42nd pick in the draft, the second-round pick that you just got from Washington for Jimmy G, who you could argue has a similar injury history? I would say he's maybe not as volatile in terms of his decision-making, but, I mean, they both like to apparently throw the ball left-handed, because we've seen that. We know how that works out. Not well, but anyways. And Jimmy Garoppolo, is he the answer long-term? I don't know. I don't think so. Is he an upgrade? I would say slightly, but how much? I mean, are we talking, if Carson Wentz is a 6, are we thinking, on a quarterback scale, 10 being the top quarterback in the NFL, or top quarterbacks in the NFL? Is Jimmy G a 7? Is he 7.5? What are we talking, in terms of upgrades? And again, are the Colts willing to, think about it this way. If the Colts were willing to part ways with Carson Wentz and eat $15 million of his salary in dead cap, which I don't think Chris Ballard has had any dead cap in his tenure as the Colts GM, would it make much sense to go after Jimmy G and give him $27 million when you just took off $28 million from Wentz? I mean, that to me, financially speaking, it doesn't make much sense.
Right.
I would just say this. I've been seeing it all over social media right now, and I understand why people are acting like this. And obviously, Darius Leonard voiced the frustration about it, having to play with another quarterback, right? I I love that people are saying that, oh, we might lose Darius over this. I don't think that Darius is pissed at the Colts for making this move. I think it's just doesn't wish that he was in this move. No team wants to be in a position where you're constantly shifting quarterbacks, right? Because the Colts just haven't had much of a chance at that. I would just say this. Look, I just don't think I'm not going to tweet this, but I'll just say it here just because I can. It's my podcast. I don't think it's a smart thing to say that the Colts should have kept Wentz just for the sake of saying we don't have to have another quarterback for the next year. That's like saying, oh, I have this, and this is not a fair comparison, but I'm just making the comparison because it's kind of similar. I have this girlfriend or boyfriend. They're toxic to me at times. They don't really advance me in anything, but because I've had so many over the past few years, I'm just going to accept that I have this one now so I don't have to go through the process of doing it again. It just makes no sense to do something like that. It's no point in being stagnant when you have another ability to improve your team. With what the Colts just did, they have the ability to improve their team as opposed to just doing the quarterback situation, right? I think we all can sit here and agree and say that even if the Colts had gotten Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers, if that was the only move they made all offseason, it makes them a better team. But it's not going to guarantee them a Super Bowl at all. I mean, because the team would still be lacking in a lot of major areas to improve that team. What you have to do is you have to find the option that fits you best at every position. And again, like I said, it is dumb to want to keep a quarterback just to say that you were able to keep him around. If that quarterback does not make you a better team, then there's no point in keeping it around. It's just baggage.
Well, I totally agree. And here's what I will say to that too. It is better for the Colts to realize now, a year into the Wentz experiment, let's call it that, the Wentz experiment. It's better for them to realize a year into it that, oh crap, we probably messed up. We gave up a first-round pick and a third-round pick for a guy that we don't think is going to be the long-term answer. Let's move off. Let's trade him. Let's release him. Then to get into this vicious cycle of convincing themselves that he is the answer long-term, when in reality, he's not. What he has shown the Colts over this past season tells an entire different story. And I'm going to say this, and this is not like reporting or anything. You guys know I'm a journalist and all, whatever. This is strictly my opinion. I want to make that perfectly clear. For the Colts to move off Carson Wentz after 1 year, to me, in my mind, I sit back and I think, is there more to than what we're being told?
Yes.
I've
been hearing that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
We had other Colts content creators saying that was one of the reasons why they're iffy. And, we have national media guys now saying the exact same thing. I mean, you're right. Like, for them to move on after 1 year, I mean, Carson Wentz's full play, I mean, overall throughout the whole season, you had some concern, but that was Frank Reich's guy. That was Frank Reich's guy, and that's who he wanted to have in there, right? But at the same time, I'm thinking there had to have been something going on that just made you think, man, like they made it sound like as if they couldn't wait to get him out, like they knew it was going to happen. So I just don't know. I think that there might actually be some substance.
Right. Definitely.
I'm still here, guys. Sorry, I was texting my brother. Anyways, well, and in regards to Leonard's comments, I haven't seen it. I mean, now I know. Listen, look, I understand his frustration. 5 different quarterbacks in 5 years. This is also the 6th starting quarterback dating back to Scott Tolzien.
Mm-hmm.
You have Tolzien, you have Luck, you have Brissett, you have Rivers, you have Wentz. 2022 will feature a 6th different starting quarterback under center for the Colts in as many seasons rather. The quarterback position, I think we can all agree, is the hardest one to evaluate, is the hardest one to get right, is the hardest one to to get right. I mean, there's no third whatever option. And Chris Ballard has said it himself. Everybody, everybody loves him if he drafts a quarterback. Yay, that quarterback is the next insert name here, whatever. And then the minute that guy starts playing like crap, it's like, okay, you want to run Chris Ballard out of town. That's the truth. I mean, it is not as simple as just saying, yeah, that guy, we want that guy. He's going to be the answer. And then, you pick him. And then what happens in 4 or 5 years if he's not? Then what? I mean, now I'm not suggesting that you don't keep throwing, I don't know what analogy I'm trying to use. You don't keep trying. You don't keep attempting. You don't keep drafting. But at the same time, this notion that there's a viable long-term option that's just going to fall from the sky, or it's unreal. I mean, look at how many teams in the NFL, of the 32 teams, how many of them can we count that have starting quarterbacks, like legitimate starting quarterbacks that they are comfortable with moving forward? Maybe half, right? Maybe a little bit more, maybe 70%. I mean, but of that pie, right, of that 100%, if 70% have, obviously that clearly means 30% doesn't. And that 30%, although seems small, is a vast number of teams. And when you get into a free agent frenzy, right, of teams that are in desperate need of quarterbacks, and clearly the Colts aren't the only ones. The Seahawks, with what they did, traded Russell Wilson to Denver. The Steelers, the Saints, I don't know if they're going to bring back Jameis Winston. Bucks, Tom Brady retired. I mean, there are at least, I can count on my hands, certainly at least 5 to 6 teams that are in need or currently searching for an answer at quarterback. Washington, up until they traded for Carson Wentz. I mean, there is no it factor, right? Or no it factor. I mean, we know Andrew Luck's clearly not coming out of retirement. Jacoby Brissett wasn't the answer. If Phillip Rivers was younger, maybe he came back after the 2020 season. But, I mean, the Colts are playing with the hand that they've been dealt. And in the NFL, these things happen, and their hand may not be as good as some others. But no excuses. I mean, Chris Ballard has said it himself. They're not going to make excuses, and they shouldn't. I mean, I will say I lean a little bit more towards the side of, Luck retiring is huge.
It was huge. It set this organization back.
It's certainly hurt. It's certainly hurt. But the Colts have also had opportunities to move up and go get other quarterbacks in past drafts if they wanted. Jordan Love, which is also an interesting name that's being thrown around. Speaking of which, I just want to talk about that for a second. Personally, I wouldn't mind if the Colts went and got Jordan Love. I think if they liked him enough in the draft, but not enough to move up to get him in the first round, because maybe they had a second round grade on him or a third round grade, and you will give up a third round pick or a third and a fourth or whatever. He's young. You can refine him. He's got tools that you like. He's mobile. He's got a big arm, a great running game, a good offensive line, a top 5 defense, certainly in turnovers at least. You're going to go out and probably get some upgrades at receiver and tight end. I mean, all is not lost here. And again, I guess let me just say this. If I were to rank what I think the Colts should do, what I think is best for their organization long-term at the quarterback position, number 1, I'm going sign a veteran in free agency, then draft a rookie this year. Number 2 would be trade for Jordan Love or another young quarterback that maybe isn't going to see playing time right away. And number 3 would be trade for Jimmy Garoppolo. With the only exception I'll make to that is trading for Derek Carr. I think Derek Carr is I think he doesn't get enough credit for how well he has played. Certainly, given the circumstances of last season, various different off the field scenarios, tragic incidents, and that sort of thing. I'm sure everybody knows what I'm talking about. And he took his team to the playoffs, and the interim head coach, and yada 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 yada. Is Derek Carr Patrick Mahomes or Justin Herbert or Lamar Jackson? Is he as dynamic as those 3 players and others in a sense in their own ways? No. But is he the kind of quarterback I feel like that can take an NFL team to the next level with the requisite amount of pieces around him? Yes. And you don't have concerns with Carr in terms of injury like you did with Wentz. You don't have concerns in terms of his decision-making like you had with Carson Wentz. And those, I mean, what do they say? Availability is the best ability, especially at the quarterback position. So again, those are my 3 tiers, if you will. That's what I would like to see the Colts do, because I think, again, that's what's better. That's what betters them long term. But who knows? They might disagree. So, I mean, either way, they're in the they're in the market for a quarterback. Oh boy, sorry, I butchered that one, didn't I?
Good.
We'll see what they do. So,
yeah.
Sarah, you need to tell me where Schefter is saying either Mariota, Minshew, or Jimmy G. Because I went through his Twitter and I did not see a single thing about this at all. I've not seen it. That's just me though. Maybe I missed it, but that's just what I'm saying.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either from Schefter anyway.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything. I mean,
unless he said it on TV, but
he said it on TV, maybe.
Yeah, I haven't seen a tweet.
I'm not saying, the only one that I know for certain is Jimmy Garoppolo.
I mean, and Zach Hicks just said this an hour ago, and it's something I'll go back to it again because this is something we've been saying. With the Colts moving up to number 42 now with that second round pick with Washington, plus adding the multiple picks that they just got, it seems like the odds of them trading up into the late first or early second is very, very high at this point. It seems much more logical that they could do that. A guy like a Desmond Ridder or a Sam Howell, because I don't think that because I think Pickett's going potentially first. Malik Willis, I honestly have a suspicion that he's going to be the second one. I know some people have said that he should be back further, but I think that with his play style, I think that that's just entertaining to a few more people. So I think I could see why he would be second. But again, Andrew mentioned it. There's about 5 or 6 teams right now that are in desperate need of a quarterback, but how many of them are actually going to take one in the first round? Because, it's not a very high value kind of draft class. You have a chance to be able to get a guy like a Ridder or a Howell or a Corral if he doesn't go in the first round because of that injury that he sustained, so it's certainly an interesting option. And, there's a lot more that's going to get into this. I think I'm just going to end it with this, boys. We've been going for an hour and a half. I do appreciate both of you taking time out of your schedules to hop in here with me. Obviously a very eventful day. We talked a little bit, real quick thoughts, Andrew, before I let everybody go on one final thought. I'm sure you've heard the news. Eric Fisher from Schefter is potentially not going to be back this next year. Your thoughts on what the Colts might do with that?
I actually put up an article on stampyblue.com on both the Eric Fisher move and the Carson Wentz trade. So if you haven't checked that out, be sure to do so. You can find it under my name, Andrew Thomason. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram. Sorry, I'm doing a little bit of
you're all good, man. Do
marketing. No, but I, in all seriousness, I have a couple articles up on those topics. In regards to Eric Fisher, listen, I'll say this, right? I think a lot of people, or at least some people, viewed left tackle as a need with Eric Fisher in the starting lineup. He gave up 7 sacks, committed 8 penalties, and was very, very average, right? Particularly in pass blocking. You could maybe even say below average. Here's what I'll point to with Eric Fisher. 2 of the 7 sacks he surrendered were strip sacks. One against Baltimore when the Colts were in the red zone, one against Tampa Bay when the Colts were in the red zone. If Eric Fisher doesn't surrender both of those sacks, the Colts probably put up points given how the offense was moving. And those games could turn out entirely different. Now, we could play the what if game all day long, but those are just 2 prime examples where you kind of like, you grind your teeth and you're thinking, okay, is it the Achilles injury? Is it, his form, whatever the case may be. Either way, from what Schefter reported, they being Fisher and the Colts, they couldn't agree on another deal. And I think the best move is to now, given that he's a left tackle, he's going to have a market. I mean, left tackle is, next to quarterback and maybe receiver and some other positions for, 1, 2, 3 in terms of, roster building or roster construction. So he'll have a market. And maybe there's a team out there that, like the Colts, think that he can improve from his Achilles injury. But for the Colts at left tackle, I think their best option is to, now that certainly that they've got an additional 3rd round pick, maybe this draft class is quite a few tackles. It's very tackle heavy. So in terms of, what's available, here's what the Colts should do. I'll leave it at this because I know we're trying to get off here. In my mind, they should prioritize bringing back Matt Pryor, who played very well when called upon. 27 years old. You traded for him last offseason. A very team-friendly deal seems in order. It makes sense for the Colts. You then use a second or a third-round pick on a tackle, and you compete. Third-round pick and Matt Pryor. Or if they want to go the free agent route, Dwayne Brown, Seattle Seahawk left tackle, a little older, 36 years old. You look at Morgan Moses, former Washington Commander, New York Jet. I think he's played more right tackle. You can maybe slide him in at left tackle. I do like Trent Brown. He's played left tackle for New England the last couple years, or within the last 2 or 3 years. But price is going to be obviously a key factor. What's he going to command market-wise? I don't see Teron Armstead as a viable option, given what you're going to play Quentin Nelson more than likely. He's going to be the top tackle on the free agent market, and I just don't see the Colts making it happen. But yeah, bring back Matt Pryor, go get a veteran tackle or draft a tackle in the draft. But Eric Fisher, best of luck to him. Hope it works out. But for the Colts' sake, I think this is for the best.
All right. Well, last words here. I'll let Matt go first after I do this, but I already said it on Twitter. Obviously the Colts have traded away Carson Wentz in their second rounder to the Washington Commanders for a second rounder, third rounder, and a third rounder next year that could turn into a second. I just want to take a second and say thank you again to Carson Wentz. I know that, there's been a ton of people that have been very hateful and have been very have shown despicable behavior towards you specifically. And I just want to say that I appreciate you coming to Indianapolis and doing your best and trying to do what we asked you to. A lot of good moments, good or bad this last year. I appreciate what you did for Indianapolis. And I wish you the best of luck for the Washington Commanders. Matt, you got any final remarks?
Yeah, clearly it didn't work here. Wasn't really a fit. We thought it would work out. Didn't quite work out. I like Carson. He's a good dude. He doesn't seem like somebody who would be a jerk for no reason. It just didn't work out. He might fit Washington more too, especially with him having Scary Terry to throw to. But yeah, I wish him nothing but the best, and we'll see him in the regular season.
Andrew?
Yeah, he did a lot of good things for Colts fans. Yeah. You guys know I cover the team, so I try to remain objective. But in terms of his play and what he did for the city of Indianapolis, the foundation, the AO1 Foundation, I believe is what it is. I'm sure the fans everywhere in the city of Indianapolis thank him for that. Not just on the field, obviously, but off the field. So,
all right. Well, that's going to do it for this one. Again, Colts are now in the quarterback market. They have traded away Carson Wentz to the Washington Commanders. Let us know what you guys think of everything going on. Greatly appreciate everyone who stopped in to have fun and talk with us about this. Thank you all so much. Let us know what you think. And as always, go Colts.